Hello and welcome to the Barista Amazon Web Service information video. In this video we're going to go over the different Amazon services which Barista uses to offer you fast and cheap renders. After watching this video, I encourage you to read the Barista documentation to learn more about these services as well as the costs that come along with them. Now let's get started. Let's first focus on the project folders and project files. Both these areas take full advantage of the Amazon S3 service, or Simple Storage service. This service allows you to put your files and folders on the Amazon cloud. So everything you see in these two areas of Barista are actually hosted on the Amazon cloud. With that said, you can actually use Barista to put backup files on the cloud for your own use. Selecting our render, let's move on to the Amazon servers. This uses the Amazon EC2 service. Looking at on-demand servers, we can choose from several different specifications of servers. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one here. And we can see the price is $1.53 an hour. Now what on-demand servers allow you to do is to request a server, push the render directly to it, and shut it down when you're done. On-demand servers are always available, so you know you can get them, and they're always a set price. Now, if we look at the other option, which is our spot servers, and we choose the same server, we'll see that we have two prices. There's a low price and a high price. And the reason for this is that we are actually bidding on a price. The low price is the lowest price that someone is actually paying for one of these servers, while the high price is the highest price someone is paying. Based on the price, which is actually our maximum price we're willing to pay, will determine if we get a server right away or later on in our request's lifetime. Each request that we create can last up to 3 days. If we set a price too low, we may never see a server started, and if the request lasts as long as 3 days, it will just automatically shut down. Now each one of these servers that we're bidding for, others are bidding on as well, and this is based on the price others are paying, how many servers are available in the region that we're in, and how many others are actually requesting it. Along with these different conditions in which a server can be started, we also have the issue of once a server is up, it can also be taken away. So if we set a price at 40 cents, we request it, and sometimes this can take a few seconds. Amazon will see if it can fulfill that request or if we need to wait. And we can see right here that our server status is initializing, which means the server has started, and also means that we have received a server. And that's why we see this fulfilled status, which is our request status. And that means we can render right away. If we set a price too low, let's say 30 cents, then we would see a whole different status. We see there is no instance because it says it's open, and we see a holding status for a request, most likely because the status of the request itself is price too low. Of course, these prices fluctuate constantly, and that price might get as low as 30 cents, and at that time we will receive an instance. You'll notice that on both of these we can actually switch them on for rendering. And there's a reason for this. Barista was written in a way that you can set the price as low as you want, and Barista will take care of the rest for you. So you don't have to worry about if the instance is up or down. By turning these on and clicking Start Render, Barista will always look to see if there is a running instance. And if there is, it will send frames for it to render. If there isn't, it just continues to wait for running instances. Now what happens if it's rendering? Well, it could stop at any time. So Barista sends it some frames to render, Maybe it does a few frames and then it stops. What happens then? Well, the request stays open and it waits for another request to come up or another instance to come up. And once that instance comes up, Barista sends it more frames to render. But if we run into the situation where Barista isn't making any progress and it has sent frames to a render or to an instance several times, it just goes ahead, stops the instance, and stops rendering altogether. So you don't end up spending more money. Moving forward, let's look at the render budget and cost explorer. Now with the render budget, we can set a price that we want our renders to stop at. And here at the bottom, we can see the total price that we have paid on our account so far. Every hour, Barista will check this price to see what has changed. And when it does this check, it will also check to see if it has gone over your render budget threshold. So if we start our render right now, Barista would remember, okay, we started our render at $3.31. If we had the render budget set at $7, then once it saw $10 on a cost check, then Barista would stop the render, stop the instances, and stop the requests. And it's just that simple. Now I do want to point out with the Cost Explorer, you do want to pad another hour just in case. Because depending on when you start the render and when the last cost check was done, you may end up with an extra hour. And while we could add an extra check in there, each time it checks the price, that does cost 1 penny. And we want to keep that price as low as possible. And adding an extra check just adds more cost. So that's the Amazon services which Barista uses. If you have any questions, ask. And again, please read the documentation to learn more about these services and learn about the costs that are involved. Thank you and happy rendering.